Hello all and welcome to The Big Story, where we discuss the hottest topics right in the heart of the newsroom. I'm Haryanto, coming to you live from the Straits Times. Now we are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, so be sure to comment, like and share our video. While you are at it, subscribe to our channel and of course hit the bell button to be alerted to our videos. Now I'll have my newsroom colleagues joining me to talk about the stories that got you talking today. Now in world news, the protest continues in Hong Kong as protesters disrupt train service during morning rush hour this morning. Now this comes after a news briefing held yesterday where the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, HKMAO, under China's State Council warned that if Hong Kong continues to be chaotic, the whole society will have to pay the price. The briefing was to address the clashes that happened over the weekend. It was the first such briefing in Beijing and was seen as an attempt by China to make its official position over the matter. A protester said that it's not their intention to cause inconvenience to people, but they have to make the authorities understand why they are protesting. They will continue with it as long as needed. To tell us more about this worsening political crisis in Hong Kong, I have foreign editor Jeremy Au Yong. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thanks, Haryanto.
Now, Jeremy, we have correspondents in Hong Kong. Tell us, what have they gathered regarding the situation now so far?
Right. So ordinarily, actually, we only have one correspondent based in Hong Kong. Our Hong Kong correspondent's name is Claire Huang. But the way things are going and how long and how serious this protest has been turning out, we actually have been deploying more people there. Right. So right now we have 3 people in Hong Kong. There's Claire, there's our regional correspondent Elizabeth Law, and a photojournalist named Chong Jun Liang. So the way they describe it to us, the situation on the ground is still tense, although it seems now that we are 8 weeks into this protest that it's settled into a little bit of a pattern. Today was a little bit of an anomaly, but generally we are seeing big protests happen on the weekends that has tended to break into violence. And then the weekdays is a little bit quieter. Although today, after yesterday's briefing, there were a little bit more protests than normal, I thought. And we're also seeing the protesters try and find new ways to gain attention and new audiences to target. So it's not just marching in the streets anymore. We've seen them organize this sit-in at the airport. Today they disrupted rush hour traffic on the Hong Kong MTR, which is like the MRT.
And Jeremy, so you talked about the briefing and we mentioned that as well. Let's talk more about the briefing that happened yesterday. What were the main takeaways of the briefing?
Okay, so first thing to be clear, they didn't really make any new points. The Chinese officials have, throughout this entire episode, have been speaking about it off and on. So everything we heard yesterday, largely we've heard them say before. It's just I've never seen them organize. They have never called a press briefing to lay out their position this way, to put it all together. So in terms of what was actually said, I think the 2 main points were, first, they condemned the violence. They called it horrendous incidents, and they called on Hong Kong authorities to restore law and order. There was included in that this warning that Hong Kong will pay the price. It's not super clear what that means. What price they're talking about. I mean, we are seeing some impact on business and tourism, but is that what they're talking about? We're not sure. The second thing they said that I think was a key takeaway was they were asked multiple times about Carrie Lam, the chief executive of Hong Kong, and whether she should resign. Her resignation is one of the demands from protesters, and the officials yesterday made it very clear that they strongly support Carrie Lam. So they don't want her to resign. And then if there's an addendum to that side thing, there were also questions about whether China would intervene through their PLA garrison that is in Hong Kong. They were asked this directly. They did not strictly rule it out. They didn't really answer the question. Instead, they talked about warning foreign countries not to meddle in China's affairs.
And Jeremy, now that you mentioned that it seems to be a pattern where weekends, that's when the big protests will happen, and then weekdays it's a bit quieter, not so much that's happening. Can we expect the situation to get better moving forward, or at least say in the next week or near future?
Well, it's quite difficult to tell,
Yeah.
to be honest. I mean, surely it must get better.
Yep.
I guess the question is how long that will take and whether it needs to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
If you look at Hong Kong's history, Hong Kong has in the past shown that it really can sustain a protest for quite some time. The 2014 Occupy Central movement, I think that lasted something like 3 months, and we are approaching that timeline already. So I guess my problem is I cannot see the mechanism now in which this is solved. Right now, the end game is not clear to me. There's no open dialogue between the protesters and the authorities. It's not like there's some kind of negotiation going on that can produce a settlement. It's also not clear that the demands from the protesters will ever be fulfilled by the authorities. They have said that they will suspend the extradition bill that started this whole thing off. But I don't think it sounds like they are going to do much of anything else.
Beyond that, right?
Yeah, there is a school of thought that thinks that until this has some kind of significant impact on Hong Kong's economy, that the authorities actually are not under that much pressure to take further action. So I guess all this is the answer is it remains to be seen.
Right, it remains to be seen, of course. Thank you so much again, Jeremy, for coming onto the show to tell us more about the situation back in Hong Kong. Now, again, for more news on the Hong Kong protest, do visit our website at www.straitstimes.com. Like what Jeremy said earlier on, we do have 2 correspondents who are there and a photojournalist as well. They will be giving us updates as to what is happening right in Hong Kong.